Muhammad
Muhammad
Umar
Umar
Farooq
Farooq
Biological
biological
Video.
video.
Please make sure to
Please
subscribe,
subscribe
like, and
and
share.
like and share.
Ask the
Ask the
question for
question for
answer
answer
and
and
comment
comment for
about the
artwork.
artwork
Thanks.
perspective and some interesting question. So in this video we will talk about the Volvox. There's a Volvox is living in the form of colony, and there's the freshwater alga. That's the algae that is living in the freshwater. And there's the colony make a sub-colony which that are going inside. And that inside colony will ultimately the parental colony will rupture and the daughter colony will be arise. So that's inside is the Volvox new colony, and there the upper part is the made up of flagellated cells, which that is the basically which that is the gonadia, and that is the responsible for the reproduction, asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So here is the parent colony, and there's the colony is called synovium. So there the inside colony is interconnected to each other, and ultimately again will be create a hollow shape structure, and there's hollow shape structure inside is the hollow structure which that is the responsible for again reproduction. So here we will talk about the wall of the um, Volvox, and there's the upper layer of the Volvox which contain the basically gonadia. There's the gonadia is making number A, which that is loss of flagella and become a division, and there's division is B, and there's the going ultimately tetrad division is C, and that's going in a further into this type of cell division, and that's going to make a flagellated colony as the subcolony, and here is the making more cell, and that's more cell will be arise as a colony, and here is the making this type of cells. And now we will talk about the here is the G phase, and there's the I mention about the name of the from G and going to H, and here is the attachment of this like here, that is the cell division is like here, and that is inside looking that is outside region, and outside is basically that is going the basically from here I will give you a mention about here, that is the releasing factor. So here is the inside the colony will be arise, and there's colony going inside, which that is the subcolony from the parental colony. So here is the basically attachment from here, and there's attachment is going to hollow shape again structure will be clear, and there's going to step I, and here is the J. So here is the inside movement of this colony going inside, and sometime will going into outside, but when going to inside, so here is the basically moving inside. So now we will talk about the basics that is the was the asexual reproduction, because colony arise from the pre-colony, which that is a parental colony, and here is the sexual reproduction. There's a sexual reproduction involve the male and female gametes. So that means the heterogamous, that is the anisogamous reproduction, that is asexual reproduction which involve the gametes. So here is the basically now we will talk about the male gametes. There's the male gametes come from the here is the male gametes, which is antheridium. That's the production of antheridium from gonidium. That's gonidium is flagellated cell, and that's going into the ultimately antheridium. There's a mature and too much antheridium which release, and there is the single is plural antheridia, and single is antheridium. That's antheridium is released outside of the colony, and that is the moving into the water, fresh water, by a flagella. So that is the Chlamydomonas like structure which we have studied studied in the previous video I have uploaded. So here is there is a female gametes. That the female gamete is made of oogonia. That's oogonia is further by the using a meiosis. That is the occur due to the meiosis, and that's meiosis is from the gonidia. That's gonidia going to meiosis, and that's meiosis will be um, produce the egg. So here is the egg, which that is the producing egg. One egg or too much egg will be produced. So here the basically here we can say that the oosphere, that is the egg, that is the oosphere. Oosphere mean that too much egg are present is known as oosphere. So that is the sphere, spherical structure is containing eggs basically. So here the female oogonia, that is the basically here is the archegonia. That is the structure is like archegonia. So here is the asexual reproduction, which that is I had mentioned about that things. And here is the asexual, and here is the sexual reproduction, which that is a sexual reproduction is due to the male and female gamete. So the male and female gametes unite together to give a gonidia, and that gonidia will again arise the colony. So that's the important things, that after again meiosis will be occur by the oospore. That's a production of oospore. Now we will talk about the alternation of generation. So that is the reproduction is in the form of alternation of generation. So here is the gonidia, which that is come from the Volvox. So the outer layer of the Volvox is. So here is the gonidia is come from the Volvox, and that gonidia is again produced a colony. The single gonidia will be responsible for the making colony, and that colony again rupture, and gonidia are rupture are inside the making subcolony inside, which that is the asexual reproduction from here. So you can see here. So that is the making colony, which that is here is the gonidia. Clear? So I hope you make understand about that things, and there's the that structure about that. Here is the Volvox, and there's the Volvox is making gonidia, and the gonidia is making colony, which that is going inside, that is known as subcolony or daughter colony, and there's the ultimately rupture and release the more colony, and again that colony will be produce more subcolony, and that the reproduction will be continue. So here the egg. No, here is the egg is the produce egg, and there's the gametes, egg, and antherozoids. Antherozoids made up of flagellated, biflagellated gametes, that it can be moved into the water, and there's movement of water going by the chemotactic movement, by the sensation of the chemical which that is released from the egg to move antherozoid to the egg, that's produce oospore. That is the one end to one end by the meiosis. One end to one end again will be convert oospore, and there's a two end, and again meiosis will be occur, and swarmer will be produced, and that swarmer is known as which that is swarmer, which that is the same structure like in the colony, which that outer layer of the colony which made up of gonidia. That's gonidia is same structure is known as swarmer, and that swarmer is again will be produce colony, and that colony is asexual reproduction will be prefer favorable condition, and sexual reproduction is prefer unfavorable condition. So this type of alternation of generation is after the gamete formation, that's oospore will be produced, and not will be again plant or some algae will be produced. So that is known as haplontic life alternation of generation. Haplontic alternation of generation is that which that is not produce female and male organs. For example, female and male plants will be not produced, or female and male thallus will be not produced, and no germination of thallus of female and male. So that type of sexual reproduction is known as alternation of generation, is known as haplontic alternation of generation. So now we will talk about the movement. So here is the colony, for example, and that's made up of flagellated, biflagellated outer gonidea, with that the biflagellated outer gonidea, which that is the outer cells, which is same like chlamydomonas, and that's colony make a flagellated. That flagella is movement, involved in the movement, and Volvox in living in fresh water, and that is photosynthetic. So that is mean when requirement on the basis of light, that the move toward the light, that is known as phototactic movement, and that is the positive phototactic movement due to the toward the movement of colony toward the light, that is known as positive phototactic movement. And if away from the light in the freshwater alga, that's the freshwater algae, that is known as negative phototactic movement, because that is away from the light, that is photon. And that is very important things, which that is the chloroplast, which that contain outer membrane, stroma, inner membrane, and thylakoid membrane, which that is responsible for the absorption of light, and thylakoid membrane, which that is the responsible for the absorption of light, and that absorption of light will be fixation of carbon dioxide and water to produce oxygen, and that is the oxygen is 80% come from the algae, not come from the 80% from plant, but 80% come from the algae and produce sugar, and that's 80% oxygen will be come from the algae. So remember about that things. That is a quiz which and that is the favorable in the exam. So here the atmosphere is come from algae, that is the 80% oxygen. So there the algae is very important to produce oxygen. So remember about that things, because plant is not involved to releasing of oxygen too much. So here the we will discuss in the next video about that plant. So here now we will talk about the practical work. That's the practical work that take beaker, one beaker, and collection of algae from freshwater ponds or some dish or some river, which that contain a dropper to drop one drop and cover the slide from the slide cover, and they put the on the microscope to watch and that analysis if the structure of algae is look like a colony, and that shown in the figure, which that is the Volvox type colony. So you have confirmed that is the Volvox, and that if we saw a colony of algae like shown in the figure, which that I have drawn here, basically here look like that. So that's confirmation about that thing, and you can say that is the Volvox. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe.